80 runs recently. VReznor also has been grinding away trying to get that sub 80, so
Yep, and looks
I'm
like both.
expecting a close race.
Yep, me too, and both of these racers are now underway. So both of them here are in the Magic Cave. What they're both hoping to get out of this Magic Cave is a P bag worth 50 points. By getting the P bag, that will help them out tremendously in getting attack level 4 coming out of the Parappa Palace. What they also find in here is a magic container that'll give them 5. Feasel does not get the P bag. Let's see. Neither player gets the P bag, so they're both going to be on the same level pegging.
Yeah, we'll see if... I think Feasel has been doing Dark Trophy Cave in his practice. We'll see if VReznor does the same.
Yep, Feasel is heading for the Dark Trophy Cave right now, and it looks like VReznor is going to follow suit. By going into the Dark Trophy Cave early, they make up for the experience points that they lost out on by not getting the 50-point P bag. By doing so, that means they would only have to get one of the two 200-point P bags out of the first palace, because if they didn't do Dark Trophy Cave, they would need both P bags.
There is an alternative to stop in the forest tile to get a 50-point P bag, but this one saves you the time of having to come into Trophy Cave after Palace 1.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why it's the better bet. Yes, the encounter tile that gives you the 50-point P bag is easier because you can actually see, but it's more of a better play just to get the trophy out of the way.
So now they're heading into Rauru to get the shield spell.
Yeah, that's right. Why do you like to be called? Numbers, EON, Enchantress?
Enchantress or Eon.
Okay. So Eon, here in this town of Rauru, they're going to be picking up the shield spell, as you had mentioned. What the shield spell does, of course, is by activating it, you will take half of the damage that you would normally take, but remember, it is only good for one screen. So keep that in mind when you're watching this race.
You also get a stylish red tunic when you cast it.
Yep, absolutely. Just like the red tunic you would get in Zelda 1 when you have a red ring. But unlike Zelda 1, you don't get the quarter damage taken. It's still just a half. But yeah, the red tunic's always nice looking. Indeed, I totally agree, Eon.
So now we'll get to see them heading up towards the palace and trying to set up the bubble skip.
Yeah, by the looks of these things, both of these players are quite even. Unfortunately, on my side, I don't have a timer active on VReznor, so it's going to be a little more difficult to keep up who's ahead by how much, but both of these players right now are pretty even.
Yeah, and they've had to make the same decisions, so to this point, they're very close.
So the first potential separation could be right here in this bubble skip. Both of these players are doing the manipulation right now to see if they can get that encounter skip. Let's see. No, it looks like VReznor did not get the encounter skip, and neither did Feasel, so it's pretty much still going to be a tie. Got to be careful that you don't get hit by these bubbles, because if that happens, chances are you're taking a bath, and you don't want that in this game.
Yeah, the one thing about the bubbles is they always knock you to the right, so it's actually slightly safer when you're going to the right, because you can actually kind of damage boost over the pits, but not so when going to the left.
Yeah, this trek that VReznor is making first is the more treacherous journey, because again, you get hit by the bubbles, you're going to probably get knocked back into the water and lose one of your precious lives. And life management in this game is very important, particularly when we get to a later palace in the game.
Yeah, and as normally this category is run as a 1 credit clear, where you cannot take a game over, but we're using like SRL warpless race rules, so if a player does take a game over, they'll have to return to the room that they took the game over in.
Yeah, that's exactly right, because normally in a speedrun of this, if you take a game over, that's it. You got to reset. But here, if you game over, you're allowed to continue just as long as you get back to the previous screen that you had died on before.
And it's important to note you don't have to go the same path, because if you game over after getting the hammer but still in Death Mountain, you can take the quicker route instead of having to trek all the way through Death Mountain again.
There's a 50-point P bag drop for VReznor. Again, it's nice to have, but that's not what he's looking for. What they're going to be more focusing on is getting the P bags for 200 points. Now, there are two different. Actually, there's 3 enemies sets, but the 2 that I'm going to be talking about are the small groups and the large groups. There are small group enemies which drop either a P bag for 50 points or a blue jar which refills 1 full unit of magic containers. Now, 7 out of 8 times you're going to get that blue jar. Only a 1 out of 8 chances you're going to get that 50-point P bag. For the large group enemies, they can drop either a red jar, which refills all of your magic, or a 200-point P bag, and that's a 50-50 situation. So there is a 1 in 4 chance that somebody may not get that attack level 4 coming out of Parappa Palace.
Right, and just for the viewers, the delineation for which enemies are in the small versus the large group is usually right at the 30 experience points. So those Stalfos that give 30 experience points are part of that large drop group.
Yeah, that's right. And also, it's every 6th enemy that's going to give you that drop in each respective set. Now, of course, there's a 3rd set of enemies that don't drop anything, such as blue iron knuckles.
Right, or the tin suits, they also don't drop anything.
Correct.
And the tin suits are extra annoying in this palace because if you get hit by a tin suit, it's gonna steal 10 experience points from you.
Yeah, it's one of the many enemies throughout these palaces that can take experience points away from you.
Yeah, and so if one of the runners, well, VReznor got the P bag drop, so it won't be as big of a deal for him. But if feasel gets a hit from a tin suit, he'll have to kill extra bots to make up for that experience difference.
That's quite a few bots, because bots are only worth 2 experience points apiece.
Right.
You start with 4 bars of life and 4 bars of magic. They both have 1 heart container pickup and 1 magic container pickup. Hazel will grab this 50-point P bag from the disintegrated bridge. VReznor is right behind him.
And VReznor
takes no damage.
Cast shield in here because those bots can really troll you.
Absolutely. Even bots can steal quite a bit of life because you're only on life 1 right now. They're both at 2-1-1. They're trying to get out with at least 4-1-1, and both of them are right where they need to be. They're going to pick up this candle here, which is going to illuminate all of the caves that they will be going into from now on. Some of the caves you've seen, including the Magic Cave and the Trophy Cave, you did not see anything because they didn't have the candle. Now they got the candle, they can see. And we see, unfortunately, VReznor got the red jar drop.
Yeah, so VReznor is going to be banking on the 200-point P bag from the orange iron knuckle right before the horsehead boss of the palace.
And judging by the experience points, I mean, unless I have miscounted, I don't think Feasel got the P bag drop either.
I think he might have skipped the Stalfos, so
he got it. He's got a P bag drop for 200, yeah. So Feasel's in good shape. He'll have attack 4 coming out of this palace, unless he somehow, unfortunately, makes a leveling error. And we have seen that happen a few times in this tournament already.
Right. Feasel opted to skip those Stalfos the first 2 times he went through to manipulate the drop to be on the 30-point enemy rather than the 50-point Doom Rattler in the candle room. So just another way to optimize the amount of experience you get out of the palace.
Yeah, that's right, Ian, because it's better off to lose out on 30 experience points than 50 experience points if you're not successful in getting that P-bag drop.
Right.
Both of these players are neck and neck, and Feasel gets another P-bag drop, and the P-bag drop for VReznor, so both of these are going to have attack level 4 coming out of Palace 1, but Feasel's going to have the advantage because he's going to have life 2 as well.
Yeah, he gets the nice life refill right before Horsehead, but I don't suspect either player will have trouble with this boss.
Yep, first boss of the game, Horsehead for 50 points. Feasel has no trouble, and VReznor also has no trouble. They're both neck and neck coming out of Palace 1. It's an even Steven race, folks.
And they both have the same amount of magic, so they're going to have the same time to reach the gem placement.
Yep, that's right.
And feasel taking a slightly more efficient, though less guaranteed walk to the connector cave.
Yeah, there are some decisions that these players are going to make. There's one that is going to be coming up at the end of Death Mountain that some people will take a gamble on to save a few seconds, but there's a guarantee and then there's a gamble. And I know you know where I'm talking about, but we will tell everybody else who may not be familiar with this game what I'm talking about when we get to that point.
Yes, and so to answer the question in the chat, Link's tunic turns red when they cast the shield spell. It's just a visual indicator so that you know that you're going to take a little bit less damage when you get hit.
Okay, Feasel's the first to return the trophy to the rightful owner here in the town of Rudo, and his reward will be the jump spell. Of course, what the jump spell does is make you jump much higher than you would normally jump, and it is needed immediately to the cave due south because there is a tall cliff-like area in the caves, and without doing a very difficult damage boost, it's going to be pretty hard to navigate your way past that cave without the jump spell.
Yeah, and even if you manage to do the damage boost, you're probably going to lose more time than you would have otherwise used up to get the jump spell.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the bats that you'd have to damage boost on, their movement is really random. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's probably one of those task thingamabobs, but something you definitely would not see during a run or a race for that matter.
Right. So, and now we're seeing these gorillas in these small corridors. Those can be really tough enemies for new players, but it's looking like they both make it through without much trouble. So.
Yeah, but now we see that VReznor is also at 4-1-2. Again, they're neck and neck as they're about to approach the trek to Bagu's house.
Feasel taking a hit from the bat.
Yeah, that's never any fun to take hits from the easier enemies, especially when we get to Death Mountain. And, an ache hit. It looks like a double ache hit for VReznor, so a little bit rough there in this cave. And Feasel trying to pause his way out of this mess, and he's unable to do so.
He is far enough that maybe he can make it without getting another encounter, but sometimes the walk to Bagu seems like when you get one encounter, you end up with 3 encounters.
Well, that's the second encounter for Feasel. VReznor took an encounter himself. He's trying to avoid a second one. It looks like he's got a chance. Can he do it? Yeah. So 1 encounter for VReznor, 2 for Feasel. So he is not far behind Feasel at this stage of the game. Here's these Bagos. Boy, I hate these enemies. They take away experience points. They shoot rocks at you. They fly at you. You can get bonked by them. I mean, they're no fun.
And for Feasel, they all spawned behind him, and he didn't have beam sword to deal with them. If you have the beam sword, you can shoot a beam behind you and take him out, which is nice, but he couldn't really do much about it there.
All right, next up, they're in the town of Saria, and in one of these houses, in fact, Feasel's in this house right now, there's a mirror underneath this table. Now, by returning this mirror to this girl here in the house next door, they're going to get the next spell of the game, and which is the life spell. And the life spell is going to be used very constantly by both of these players. What it does is that it refills 3 full bars of life from your life meter.
Yes, and you'll see them use it sometimes when they don't have very much life taken away from their meter, just because some rooms are a lot more efficient when you have the beam sword.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It does cost a lot of magic early on, so you got to conserve on that when you can and use it in the most opportune times as possible.
Right, and I know Feasel in Death Mountain, he tends to do 4-1-3 leveling strats. I'm not sure what VReznor does. Typical is to do 4-2-3 level strats, so will be interesting to see.
Oops, VReznor went into the wrong house there. Now, Feasel went to the place. He is shown the note to the riverman. You know Bagu, so I can help you cross into Death Mountain.
Yeah, and Death Mountain is really the first real test of the runners. There's lots of enemies, not a lot of opportunity to refill life or magic. And
Especially for casual gamers. Yes, I agree.
right. Yeah, and the enemies hit hard, and they're not easy enemies. So
Yeah, the first part, the enemies aren't too bad, and this is where you don't want to be taking damage because you'll get to a cave where we see these axe-wielding enemies called Dairas, and they hit hard, and if you're low on health, you can be down in one shot.
yes, especially when we will likely see both runners taking life 3 in here, which helps a lot. But if they had not gotten attack 4, they'd only be running through here with life 2, which makes it a lot harder too. So
Feasel taking some damage there from those aches, and here comes the first Daira sighting. It's the orange Daira for 70 experience points. No problem there for Feasel.
and nor for VReznor, he takes 1 hit but has his life refill from the level up. So
Yep, so again, still neck and neck here in Death Mountain. Again, another one of these bago bridges, but this one's more difficult because you got these ceilings to deal with.
yes.
Now here's the first sighting of the red Daira, who throws axes at you, and sometimes they like to throw double, triple, or even quadruples axes at you. And if you're not quick on your feet, they can kill you quick spell.
Yeah, I think the red Dairas are the most hated enemy among casual players.
Oh, no doubt about it. Yeah, 100 experience points, but yeah, they pack a punch, and they love to troll with throwing axes constantly. So yeah, you got to be quick on your feet.
And I think this is possibly the most hated room in Death Mountain that Feasel just completed, and VReznor's just getting through with all those bats and the Garria. It's not fun.
Ooh, Feasel getting a P-bag drop out of that Daira, and that's not too bad of a situation because at the end of this cave that he's just entered, he's going to get a red jar at the end and another P-bag drop. Boy, the rich keep getting richer here.
Yeah, and VReznor also gets a 200 P-bag drop, and he does opt to take Magic 2, so that's the first leveling deviation that we'll see. Feasel will get a nice Magic refill during Palace 2 that VReznor won't get, so.
All right, and here's the next red Daira encounter for Feasel. No problems for him, and he didn't even need the red jar. He was full on everything. That's a rarity.
Yeah, because VReznor had the magic level up before. I think he cast life before that, so it was
Yeah, that's right.
perfect timing. And to answer the question about the rope skip, I believe Feasel typically does that, which we'll explain when we get there. I do not know about VReznor, though.
Who almost got trolled there by that spiky Mew enemy for Feasel, but he gets through it no problem at all before he gets into the final screen where the hammer awaits. And by grabbing the hammer, they now can break away the boulders that have been guarding certain passageways here in the western side of Hyrule. Plus, it doubles as an axe, as you will see later on.
Right, that's something that people find a little confusing, but it is stated in the instruction manual of the game. So, and yeah, VReznor taking it safe with that Mew. You never exactly know what it's going to do, so it's always a good call to just let it hop off the ledge before you go close to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you don't want to take an early death here. Lives mean everything to both of these players, and in a race, it gives you, the more lives you have, the more opportunities later on that you will have a decision to make when we get to the fourth palace of the game. And if you lose lives early on, then you don't have many opportunities to make those decisions. It gives you less margin for error.
So you see, Feasel ducked into Hammer Cave, but then skipped the second cave. That's
the gamble I was talking about, and it ended up burning him. Most players would go back into that other cave to have zero chance of an encounter there. He tried to save a few seconds, and it didn't work for Feasel. But VReznor is going to play it safe.
Right. So, and I know Feasel says that it's not much risk, but seconds can count in a race that's this close. So.
Absolutely. Remember, we had a 3-second race earlier in this tournament. So, yeah, every second could count. Again, both of these players are neck and neck. It's definitely up for grabs at this point between these two fine competitors.
And sometimes people debate which is the harder enemy on this screen that Feasel is, the bubbles or the red Dyra, and Feasel has no problem with either.
Absolutely. He gets through it. No problems at all. Let's see if VReznor fares any better.
And he's looking pretty good. Feasel opting to skip the 1-up down by the cemetery. Let's see if VReznor does too. He does.
Yeah, since neither of these players have lost a life, there's no use in taking the 1-up. You're both of these players in good shape.
And both of them taking an encounter 1 tile to the left of the boulder, although Feasel does a backup strat. Where VReznor took that encounter, that allows him to walk all the way to the medicine cave without getting an encounter.
Yeah, that is known as the boulder dash, and VReznor was successful, so we're back to an even race yet again.
Yeah, this is just when it looks like Feasel's pulling ahead, VReznor comes back.
Yep, that boulder dash is the first. I wouldn't say mistake, a little bit of bad luck there for Feasel, and because VReznor was able to do it successfully, we're back to an even game. Now, both of them have picked up the medicine. Some people like to call it the water of life. And what it's good for is when they get to the next town here in Western Hyrule, that is the town of Mido, they can drop it off to somebody, one of the members of a family, if you will, that needs to have the medicine, and they'll get the next spell of the game.
Yeah, and the next spell that will give you power, as the wizard tells you when he gives it to you.
That's right. It's actually one of the 2 spells where there is a magic word, if it were. Remember the magic word. Nice pause buffering there for VReznor to avoid the fairy encounter there on the road.
Oh, and Feasel getting a very nice back spawn, so he doesn't take a road encounter. Oh, VReznor gets the same.
Wow, yeah, both of them had very good luck coming out of there and going into the town of Mido. Now, there's 2 pieces of business that both of these players are going to take up. In addition to getting the spell that they're about to receive, they're also going to be using the jump spell here to get into the door here in this tall church. They have to have the jump spell, get into this door, and you will get the first sword skill of the game. It is the ever OP downward stab.
Yes, the downward stab is a great sword technique. We'll see them both making great use of it, and we'll even see in some cases the awesome jackhammer technique.
Yep, or some people like to call it the yak hammer as well. All right, so they both have the downward stab. Again, they are still neck and neck. We're now 23 minutes into the race. Unbelievable. We've seen a few races already where they've been tracing their steps a long way into the race. This tells you how good both of these players are and how equally skilled they are as well. Now, both of them are going to the house where they're going to drop off the medicine, and they'll get the next spell of the game, which is the fairy spell.
Yes, and one thing that you may notice is neither player has opted to refill either their life or their magic during this town, and there's a reason for that. They have set up their drop to come up to them in the next cave when they kill this blue gorilla, and they're hoping that'll be a red jar to refill their magic, and then they will collect a heart container, and they'll likely make use of their new fairy spell to pick up the heart container, saving some time for the fanfare animation.
Yeah, that's right. By using the fairy spell, you save on the time when Link picks up a treasure. If you use the fairy spell, you don't go through that animation. And there's one screen, in my opinion, in particular, where I feel it's very important to take advantage of the fairy spell.
So let's see if... Feasel gets the 200 P bag, which is... it helps him get early attack 5, but he has to pick up the heart and hold it over his head, whereas VReznor now can just fly right into it and leave immediately. So that saves a couple of seconds.
Yeah, judging by what I'm looking at right now, Feasel's very close to attack 5. VReznor not that far behind. I don't think either of these players are going to have an issue getting attack 6 coming out of the second palace. Here's the very treacherous swamp trek. Very, very difficult to get through this without any encounters.
Yeah, and Feasel pausing on the road wisely, so that's a half encounter. Uses less time than taking an encounter in the swamp.
Well, look at this. Feasel gets through it with just the one encounter on the road. That is amazing. That was a great swamp trek there for Feasel.
And VReznor is also, he gets his first encounter there. But he was having a great swamp walk up until there.
Yeah, both of them have incredible swamp walks. Feasel having the better one, so he'll gain some more time on VReznor. Here we are in the second palace of the game. This is the Maduro Palace. And the item they're going to be seeking out is the Magic Glove. Now, the Magic Glove powers up your fists for you. Now, why does it power up your fists, but it doesn't allow you to punch harder? Well, it gives you more power with your sword. Not necessarily to kill enemies, but it enables you to break blocks that you're going to see throughout the rest of these palaces. And there's one screen coming up here where you're going to see some block drops. And you got to hope that they don't troll you, because there can be times where the blocks can pile you up so quickly that you have no choice but to take a death.
Right, and the glove is one of the items that is required in every single category that this game is speedrun in, so a very important item.
Yes, indeed.
And Feasel getting a little bit of trouble from these blue Stalfos. The blue ones have learned the downstab technique, which makes them a little bit more difficult to deal with.
Absolutely. We do see that he's now got attack 5. He's currently at 5-1-3. It's 4-2-3 right now for VReznor.
Yeah, and so Feasel can make it through some of the enemies with 1 or maybe 2 fewer stabs with his sword. So.
And not only that, given his current situation, he can also skip a lot of the enemies in the later part of this palace.
Right, yeah. He really doesn't need to kill much else. I think he's trying to set up his magic level up to come after he gets the glove, because he'll likely cast Fairy to pick up the glove.
Difficult room here that Feasel's in. There's a key here, and there's these lava pits surrounded by bots, but he makes quick work out of that. That was no problem there for Feasel. Let's see how VReznor does. Ooh, he's going to take it patiently because those bots were waiting for him.
Yeah, Feasel, I think, casted Life so that he'd have Beam Sword to go through there. Kind of surprised VReznor didn't cast Fairy, which is another common technique for that room.
Yeah, absolutely. When you pick up the key, then you're going to use the Fairy spell so that you're guaranteed not to take a death against those bots in that lava room.
And VReznor does get a 200 bag, so he's right on Feasel's heels as far as experience goes.
Yep, just 20 points away. And here's this block room that I was referring to, Eon. They don't have the glove right now, so he takes a little bit of damage there, but that's it.
Yeah, if you get an unlucky spawn, you may have to cast the jump spell to get over, or leave and come back to reset the room to advance.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's see if this room fares VReznor any better. And yeah, he made it. Wow, that was pretty good.
So Feasel getting his level up before the glove, but he was on top of it, casted Life, and then casted Fairy after. So I think that's why he likes to save the magic level up for in Palace 2 to be able to cast Life later on, as well as casting Fairy for the glove.
Feasel having no problem with the block room coming out, so he's still in good shape. Doesn't have much magic at the time, but he'll have an opportunity to refill soon.
Right, and both players have enough experience. They really don't need to kill anything else, unless they maybe want to for the purposes of setting up a drop later in the game. So
potentially. And where they stand right now, I'm looking at VReznor here. Magic 3, you need to have 300 points. A Life 4 is 400 points. The boss of this palace, Helmet Head, is worth 200 experience points, so he's in good shape. And Feasel's already on the road to the 3,000 needs for Tech 6. So both of these players in great shape experience-wise.
Yes. Yeah, it's really sets you back if you don't get attack 6 out of this palace.
Absolutely, because out of Palace 3, you want to have attack 7, and then out of Palace 4, you want to have attack 8, because you really want to have attack 8 coming out of Palace 4, because it sets you up for the rest of the game for your leveling ups.
Yeah, and that's basically for the whole game, the runners want to maximize the experience they get from the gem placement, which means setting it up so they
Definitely, yep.
already level up attack.
So as it stands, both players are going to have 6-2-3 coming out of Palace 2. It's going to come down to the helmet head fights. Right now, it looks like Feasel's in good shape health-wise, and as I say that, he gets hit by that bot. Nobody likes bots.
No, bots are the worst. Their movement is some of the most random movement in the game, which is, even though you think they're weak enemies that don't do a lot of damage, they can really cause a lot of trouble because they're so unpredictable.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, neither player, because they're really good on experience points, is going to take that 100-point P-bag on that disintegrated bridge. Now, Feasel, he's continuing to kill enemies. I wonder why he would be doing that. He must be trying to set himself up, because there's a P-bag drop from that Iron Knuckle, and here comes the helmet head fight first for Feasel.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. Most runners would opt to skip a lot of those enemies, so I'm not quite sure what his plan is.
What a really good helmet head fight that was for VReznor. Very, very clean. No hits at all, but he does miss the key. Oh.
Yeah,
Still very good pals for both of these players. They're still neck and neck coming out.
Yeah, and I suspect that we won't really see one player pulling too far ahead of the other the entire race.
It'll be awesome to see, because if that's the case this whole entire time, hold on to your hats when they get to Great Palace if they continue to keep up the same pace the whole way. Unfortunately, Feasel not having much luck with the encounters on the way back. And this is going to give VReznor a chance to catch up, and we're even again.
Yeah, same tile that I'm seeing on my end.
Yes, indeed. But another encounter for Feasel. So a bad swamp trip out of Maduro Palace is going to give VReznor the lead.
Yeah, I think that might be the first time that VReznor has been in the lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And another encounter for Feasel, whereas VReznor takes no encounters going into King's Tomb and now going into the tile below King's Tomb, where he's going to use Fairy for the first required time to get to the island coming up for the third palace of the game.
Yes, and we'll expect the players to take Magic 3 in this palace and then save up for Attack 7. So oftentimes players like to try to time that level up to right after casting Fairy in the item room of this palace. So.
All right, so VReznor is the first to make it to the third palace of the game, which is the Island Palace, and Feasel taking another encounter before he can get into the palace. Unbelievable, so many encounters on the way to the Island Palace. Then that is the reason why VReznor has the lead he's got.
Yeah, and VReznor got a red jar from the statue at the palace entrance, Feasel not even checking. It can be 50-50 chance of a red iron knuckle or a red jar. And that magic really sets up VReznor nicely in this palace. So.
Yep, and so now here we are again. This is the Island Palace. The item in the Island Palace is the raft. Now, hopefully for both of these players' sakes, the raft is only going to be used once in the game. What it's used for is to traverse from Western Hyrule to Eastern Hyrule to get to the rest of the towns and palaces that are in this game.
Yeah, and the raft is required in every category that is not glitched. So.
Yeah, the glitch category is quite an amazing category for sure. Now, this is my favorite part of this Island Palace here. This is VReznor is now outside. This is the only palace of the game where you can get some fresh air during the middle of your palace trek. He's going to get the key there, which he's done, and now he's going to go back into the palace to finish it off.
And Feasel having a little bit of trouble there on those block stairs.
Ooh,
Oh,
and
and
he
he
missed the
misses
long
that
jump
sword
too.
tail jump.
Luckily, he recovers fairly quickly.
Yeah, it's a pretty tight jump. It's you have a couple of pixels to make it, but um, it's really frustrating to miss it.
VReznor having no trouble. He went ahead, played it safe, and used the jump spell in that room that had more bots and lava. And another thing you got to be careful in that room is not to get rebounded off the blocks. Because I've seen a couple of players fall into the lava because they swung at the wrong time and the blocks just rebounded them back into the lava.
And VReznor opting not to use the jackhammer technique on that blue iron knuckle. I suspect feasel will do the jackhammer.
Yeah,
And
interesting that he wouldn't.
yeah, because as you'll see, the way that it works is you kind of get inside the iron knuckles hitbox, and you just spam the down button to keep doing the down stab. It's basically a one frame animation on the down stab, so you can.
Oh my goodness, Feasel almost got killed by that blue iron knuckle trying to do that jackhammer move.
Yeah, if executed properly, you can do a lot of damage very quickly, and it's really neat to see. But there will be a couple more opportunities for Feasel to do it, demonstrate it, hopefully a little bit better. So
Yeah, both of these players now have bingo magic. They have nothing left. And
Reznor
now
getting a,
VReznor, yep.
yep, got a red jar drop.
Yep, so that is an excellent pickup there. Refills all of his magic. And this is a room, one of my broadcast partners, Adirondack Rick, hates this room. And we get to see it again in the next palace, too, where VReznor's in.
Yeah, it's the Minecraft room, and those dog heads or whatever they are can really cause a lot of trouble um, if you mess up your setup in there, or if you just don't have a setup.
Yeah, those wolf-like statues are known as Maos, and just like some of the enemies we've seen earlier, they also take away experience points if you get hit by them.
And they just keep respawning in this room, so you can never kill them all.
Nope. And they're only worth 5 experience points apiece, so it's definitely not an enemy you're going to want to grind. You want to just get the key and get the heck out of there.
Yeah, and Feasel having a much easier time with that room than VReznor had. So.
And he needed that because he was already several seconds behind VReznor.
Right. So hoping to make up some more ground there. So
VReznor's now in the final room before the boss battle of this palace. This boss battle coming up. His name is Rebanak. It's a blue iron knuckle on a blue mechanical horse. He's worth 301 experience points. Yes, it says 300, but obviously Nintendo can't program the number 300 in this game. I don't know why. It's just how it is. Boy, what a great fight that was for VReznor. Very fast.
Yeah, he does the quick dismount and just takes him down. It did not go for the safer corner kill that I suspect Feasel will go for.
Yeah, that's one of the fastest Palace 3 Rebanak fights I have seen so far in this tournament. That was amazing there for VReznor.
Yeah, very, very well executed fight.
Yep, and as you expected, Feasel doing the corner strats, and he too turns in a pretty good Rebanak fight. Yeah. So very good.
I think Feasel got a little impatient that the Rebanak was not walking into the position for it, so then he reverted to older strats to just kill him straight up. So.
Yep, certainly. So both players are going to have 7-3-3 coming out of the third palace of the game. So this is the last piece of business these players need to take care of here in Western Hyrule. So they're about to raft their way out of here to go to the east side of Hyrule.
Yes, and then they'll collect 2 spells and an item and a sword technique before going into Palace 4.
Yeah, that's right.
So there's a bit of a collecting quest before they can really tackle Palace 4.
Yeah, first of all, VReznor is going to be the first to make it to the next town of the game, the town of Naburu here. And now the task here requires getting water for a girl here in this house. But here's the problem here. She lives about 6 yards away from the house. Now, I usually say 20 feet because that's the inside joke because TGE loves to use this as his rant. But I'm going to change it up a bit. She lives 6 yards away from the fountain. 6 yards away from the fountain. And what kind of reward do you get for returning the water to this lazy girl? Why, you get the fire spell. Tell us about the fire spell, Eon.
The fire spell is basically the most useless spell in the game. There are certain enemies that can only be killed by the fire spell. And there's one cave that some runners opt to use the fire spell in, but frequently you never actually see a runner use the spell.
Yeah, that's right. And the cave that Eon's mentioning is the one that has a bunch of Tektites in it, because fire is the only way to kill Tektites in this game. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, fire is the only way to kill Zors. Is that right?
That is also correct, yes. And
All
those
right.
are the only two enemies that require fire to kill.
That's right. So VReznor is the first to get out of the town of Nibiru, and so the next stop is going to be going to the island maze for the first time. There's going to be a lot of back and forth traveling going on, folks. So here we go.
Yes, and this walk here is there's a nice setup for it, and VReznor looks to be executing it correctly. And there's a nice setup on the way going towards the Darunia town where they're going to go next. But coming back to the maze, that's a good point where feasel could get a lucky run and make up some time. So,
okay, VReznor just did the correct strategy here in this room. I agree with this move. This is what everybody should do. He has used the fairy spell to pick up the child, and that is useful twofold. Number one, obviously, to save on the animation from picking up the rescued child. But number two, that orange Lizalfos that's there. If you forget to kill that orange Lizalfos and you didn't cast that fairy spell, that orange Lizalfos is going to go to town, and if you're low on health, lose a life.
Yeah, and if you don't have enough magic to cast the fairy spell, maybe you casted life on the walk over there or something, you definitely want to make sure you kill that Lizalfos before picking up the child.
Absolutely right.
And now VReznor doing the Dazzle Walk, as it's known, and allows him to get all the way over here to these fixed encounter skips. And
he got one fixed. Yep.
Yep. And that's the easier of the two encounters to run. The next one has bubbles in it, so he really wants to make sure he gets the skip.
Well, he just got juked there. Very unlucky there for VReznor. He'll try it again.
I really thought he had it.
I did too. That's one of the tightest jukes I have ever seen an encounter do. I thought he had it too, but evidently he didn't. Game said no.
Yep. So he makes it the second time, and Feasel's just starting out the Dazzle Walk.
So here we are. This is the town of Darunia, and two things on the agenda. First of all, he's going to fill up on magic because he didn't have enough magic to cast either the fairy spell or the jump spell. He's going to go ahead and do the fairy claws technique.
Yeah, there's a slightly faster and older strategy. Super jump. It's like a 1 or 2 pixel window to jump up there. The problem is that if you miss it, it's slower than the fairy claws. So most runners have dropped that technique in favor of doing the fairy claws.
Yeah, the fairy claw is much more consistent. All you got to do is squat down, then use the fairy spell, and you can go into that chimney, no problem at all. The second piece of business here in the town of Nibiru is by returning the originally kidnapped child, the now rescued child, to the family, you will get the next spell of the game, which is the reflex spell. Now, the reflex spell reflects the beams that are shot by Wizrobes and the boss of Palace 4. It's absolutely essential because without this reflex spell, you won't be able to beat the boss of Palace 4.
Right. It's important for Palace 4, but we may see the runners use it again later in the game on some later bosses because it lets you reflect or block fireballs, and it also shrinks your hitbox. So
correct.
Yeah, and they're kind of waving to each other as one's going in and one's going out of the reflect spell house.
So I'd say by the looks of things, it looks like I'd say VReznor's got a 30-second lead now. It's very important that he gets these encounter skips to keep his lead. He's got the first one down.
Right, and he wants to get a clean walk through the forest, because if he doesn't, Feasel could make up some ground.
That's the second one. So VReznor's going to keep his lead. It's all going to come down to this forest encounter here and see if he gets none.
Yeah, and there's no consistent setup for this, so it's a lot of RNG. It's pretty random. VReznor taking an early encounter, which is not going to make things easy for him.
Yep, but the pressure's now going to be on Feasel to get the same luck. Barely gets the first skip. Almost got juked by that, but he's able to get there just in time.
So VReznor makes it with just 2 encounters, which is I'd say average or maybe slightly better than average walk to back to the maze.
Feasel got through the encounter skips no problem, but unfortunately he takes an encounter in the forest just like VReznor did. So again, the pressure's on that he takes no more than 2.
Yeah, either Feasel misread that spawn, or he just hit the wrong direction on his D-pad, because it looked like he could have dodged it.
Oh, Sprite, please. Unlucky there. He went back into the cave to reset the encounter patterns, and that was a good strategy, but unfortunately he got trolled.
Yeah, those fairy spawns movement are very unpredictable, and so
unfortunately he got cornered just before he got to the bridge, so VReznor is going to have an even bigger lead. Now VReznor has picked up the 7th magic container, and of course by getting the 7th magic container you can get the 8th magic container thing, because you can't pick it up unless you have the other 7, and without the 8 magic containers you can't pick up the final spell of the game.
Yes, the final spell is the thunder spell, and before that you got to get the spell.
Yep, that's right. Okay, so here we are in the 4th palace of the game. This is the Maze Palace. The item in the Maze Palace are the boots. The boots are required to walk on certain water tiles and is necessary to gain entrance to the 5th palace of the game.
Yeah, and another nice thing about the boots is when you're walking on the water tiles, overworld encounters don't spawn, and if you run into an overworld encounter on the water tile, it just disappears.
Now, Feasel and VReznor, neither of these players have lost a life, so now they're going to have some decisions to make here, as we see that VReznor is now in this first of 3 screens where he'll have an opportunity to take what is known as a death abuse after grabbing this key. Does not get the red jar, but he's not going to take the death abuse. Instead, the red iron knuckle is the one that takes the dive.
Yeah, and so there are 2 reasons why the runners may opt to do a death abuse. One is that it saves about 3 seconds, and the other reason is that it can refill your magic and your life. And in Palace 4, magic management is really important.
Yeah, because you have to have enough magic to cast the reflex spell, and the boss of this palace, whose name is Karok.
Yeah, Karok's the reflex spell at this point takes up, I believe, 5 boxes of magic.
Yeah, they're at Magic 3, so I believe you're right about that. And so here's Feasel's first opportunity potentially to take a death abuse, and that may depend on whether or not he gets the red jar. Again, neither player has lost a life up until this point, and he's going to go ahead. He's going to take one of the death abuses right here. I give that dive about a 7.5.
Yeah, that lets Feasel catch up by, close the gap by 3 seconds or so, but still he's pretty far back.
Yeah. And at this point, yeah, he needed to do that because he's so far back, but it's always a risk because then you have fewer chances to goof up later in the game.
Right. Yeah, because if they do this, then they'll only have, if Feasel takes all 3 death abuses, he'll only have 1 spare life for the rest of the game.
That was a good dive there from VReznor. Did a backwards dive and a sword beam stab there. That was really, really good. I'm going to give that a 9.
And VReznor taking the crumble bridge the right way. If you start trying to mess around with those unicorn heads, they can really give you lots of trouble.
Absolutely, because in addition, you're going to lose experience points if you get hit by them, and it's really, and you're really going to see this come into play when they get to the 3rd and final death abuse screen, because those unicorn heads that you like to call them are back.
Yes. And VReznor having a little bit of trouble with the Minecraft room again, but not. I think he did it still a bit cleaner than he did in Palace 3.
Boy, nice height there on that backwards jump. I'm going to give Feasel an 8.5 on that one. That was really good.
And Feasel also dealing with the crumble bridge with the correct way.
Yep, so Feasel has taken 2 death abuses. VReznor's only taken 1. And again, feasel has to take him because he is behind, and now VReznor will have one final opportunity. Both of these players will have one final opportunity. So I'll be interested to see what happens between both of these players, because if one gets lucky and the other doesn't, this could get interesting.
Yeah, I suspect unless they check for a red jar, they're going to take the Death Abuse because they have to cast Jump twice before, so they're going to need some kind of magic refill.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, and that Skull Bubble has really given VReznor trouble following him out of that little enclosure where he was.
Yeah, absolutely. Now this second Minecraft room that VReznor is in is much, much easier because you only have that Doom Knocker to take care of, none of those floating mouse statues.
Yeah, it's a lot better. When with attack 7, it only takes, I think, 2 or 3 hits, I can't remember now, on those Doom Knockers to take him down. So you can dispatch him pretty quickly.
So now VReznor has made it to the third and final screen with those floating statues, those raw statues, or those unicorn statues, as you like to call them. Does not, no trouble there for VReznor, and gets the red jar drop, and will not take the Death Abuse because he now has enough magic to cast Reflect.
Yeah, so now VReznor has a lot of lives to play with. If he gets trolled in Valley of Death later or something like that, or doesn't get a lucky red jar drop in Palace 6 and has to take a Death Abuse there, that just gives him a lot more leeway to play with. So
Absolutely. VReznor getting very close to the end of this palace, where he'll be going up against the RNG boss, as some people like to call him, because that's basically what it is. Where he spawns, nobody knows.
yeah, there's the only, you can guarantee the first hit on Karok, but then beyond that, the players will just duck in the corner and reflect the beams. So
Feasel got a lot of distance on that dive, and if he would have had the beam sword, I'd have given him a little bit of extra credit. I'm going to give another 8.5. That was another really good dive. And so here VReznor is. This is the Karok battle, and let's see how it goes for him. Just like Rebenaki's worth 301 experience points, but at this point, the experience points don't matter. Ooh, this is a slow fight. Boy, yeah, this could give Feasel a chance to catch up if he has a great Karok fight.
Okay, and then now the next big decision. It looked like VReznor queued up Fairy, so we won't likely see an eco key from him. But Feasel, I think he likes to keep an eye on his opponents. And can see that he's behind, so I suspect we'll see Feasel attempting the eco key in Palace 5.
And this is looking like an even worse Karok fight for Feasel than it was for VReznor. Nothing's connecting.
Yeah, that's why Karok is sometimes seen as the gatekeeper for a PvE. If you're close and you get a bad Karok fight, that can really set you back.
Tough luck there for Feasel. He could have had a chance to gain some ground there. Instead, he's going to find himself about 45 seconds behind VReznor going into Palace 5. That was just very unlucky there.
Agreed.
All right, so as you had aforementioned earlier, VReznor set Fairy up, so not doing the eco key skips. He's just got to make sure that he turns around and backtracks to pick up the key, because again, it's easy to forget it.
It is, and to explain what the eco key is the skull bubble that spawns at the top by the key. You can actually damage boost off of that skull bubble if you cast jump and time it just right. And if you do it, it saves you about 12 seconds, but missing it costs you more time than it would have been just casting Fairy and not even attempting it. So it's a bit of a gamble, but I suspect we might see Feasel take that gamble.
Yeah, Feasel has to take this gamble here, knowing where he is right now. So let's see if he's able to execute the eco key. He's going to take his shot right now, trying to buffer his way to set it up properly so he does get the boost. He got it! The
He
eco
does
key
get
is
it.
successful for Feasel. Well done. He needed that, folks. All right, now VReznor here, he's in a room now with these blocks and this orange Moa. And I've given this orange fiery Moa a nickname. He's known as Dikembe Moatumbo because he likes to block players. Oh, VReznor denies the block. That was a great kill right there. Well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Dikembe Moatumbo was getting ready for the block right there in VReznor, and VReznor anticipated that. Give him credit, folks.
Yes, that was very nicely done by VReznor, and he gets a P-Bag drop and takes Magic 4. So and he gets a Mago kill, so VReznor is set up perfectly already on experience.
Oh, can you believe that? He got on top of the platform, Feasel, and he missed the key. That hurts.
That does. Oh, but he does downstab the Moa.
Very nice. So Dikembe Moatumbo giving neither of these players any problems, but that was some swag moves there from Feasel, and then he just fell off. That's unfortunate. But still, good rooms for both.
Yes, and Feasel opting to delay his magic level up to try to optimize magic use before getting the refill. So.
Okay, now those Magos that you're referring to, those orange wizards that shoot fire, they're a very good enemy to grind on if you are low on experience points, because each one is worth 200 points, and at attack 8, they only take 2 hits to take down.
Yeah, the problem with them is that their spawn positions are random, so if you need to get one, you can sometimes be waiting a while to get one to spawn close enough for you to kill it.
Right. So it is a gamble, but yeah, 200 points apiece as Feasel just got on one of those. Now we're looking at both of these players. They're at 844, as both of these players are now going to pick up the plunger, or as the actual name is the flute. What the flute does here is that it is used to ward off the river devil that is guarding the last couple of towns and palaces in the game. Also, it is required to gain access to the entrance of the 6th palace of the game.
Correct. And yeah, people sometimes call it the plunger because it's flared on the end. It looks a little bit like a plunger.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, looking at both of these players, they're at 844. Life 5 is 800 points. Magic 5 is 1,200 points. Both of these players are in good shape because the boss here coming up is named Guma, is worth 500 experience points. So both of these players should be in good shape to get to the 9,000. Would you explain what the 9,000 is, Eon?
Sure. So because they have attack level 8, they can't level it up any further. If they choose to try to level up attack again, they'll just get an extra life. And so they'll take those experience points and distribute them among magic and life, bringing them up to levels 866 after this palace.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you don't want to take attack 9, as people like to call it, because then you're throwing away 9,000 experience points.
Correct. And also, I wanted to mention back on the flute pickup, Feasel had a very well executed jackhammer.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, VReznor trekking back through that false wall. There is a hint that you hear in, I believe it's in Daru. One of the NPCs can tell you that it gives you a hint about a false wall in a palace, and it can make you think that it was referring to Palace 4, but it was actually referring to this palace. So
that's so very, very tricky. Yep. People would probably be led to believe that it's needed for Palace 4, but nope, it's later on, right here where they are at this point.
Yep. And now VReznor just making his way over to get the last key before going up to face Guma.
And Guma can be a very tough boss if you don't do it right, because he hits really, really hard, and especially on Life 4, and even with the shield up.
Yeah, it's... I personally think that Guma is the most difficult boss in the game, even more so than Thunderbird, and because he hits really hard, and if you don't do the cheese strat to get him into the corner and kind of off the screen, which I don't suspect we'll see either player do because it's slow. If you don't do that, he can be very difficult, regardless of your levels.
And if you try and jackhammer him, and you can jackhammer Guma, but if you try to jackhammer him, chances are you're just going to get boinged off his helmet.
Yeah, well, so to explain the jackhammer on Guma, is his head is actually not a hitbox. His hitbox is in his body, so you've kind of got to get inside of his body to do the jackhammer, and so it's very tricky to do, especially if Guma is trying to back away from you as you're trying to set it up.
Right, so VReznor is the first to the Guma fight and takes a couple of hits already. Got to be careful here. He does have his shields up, but as you can see, look at how damage he's already taken, and he needs to be careful. There's only a couple hits. He's got him.
Oh, nice. Yeah, if he would have taken another hit, that would have given feasel some time to catch up.
Absolutely, and it would have cost him one of his precious lives. Now, keep in mind, feasel took all 3 death abuses. VReznor only took 1, so VReznor is ahead in the lives department in case, again, like you said earlier, Valley of Death gives him problems. And we have seen Valley of Death turn some races upside down already in this tournament.
Yeah, my race included against Svenna. I took 2 deaths on a coconut eyeball, and caused me to game over and lose a 1 minute plus lead that I had.
Wow, was that a good Guma fight there that feasel just put up? That was fantastic. Now, VReznor, he came a little close, but he was still a couple of 100 points away. He came a little close there to soft locking. Now, what we mean by a soft lock there is when you experience up, if you get to the last experience point you need to level up right as you leave the screen, the game doesn't know what to do, and you end up getting a blue or black screen depending on where you are. The music continues to play, but you can't do anything about it, and that's a soft lock.
Yeah, and feasel also avoids the soft lock. If you pick up the heart container before your experience ticks up to 6,000, you can know that you are able to make it no problem. So, getting an unlucky fairy spawn.
Oh, Sprite, please! And VReznor was unsuccessful in the Wilson Wall skip. He's got to go through all 3. This could give feasel a chance to catch up.
Yeah, I suspect we might see feasel duck into the cave below as a backup older strat to set up this encounter manipulation.
He's done just that.
Because, yeah, that's the older strategy. The newer strategy is known as the river dance that they both tried to set up but just didn't work. So.
And feasel got the Wilson Wall skip, so feasel is going to cut into VReznor's lead right here.
Yeah, that's big for feasel.
Yeah, absolutely. How many seconds would you say that this encounter saves?
I think it may be as much as 10 seconds. I'm not entirely sure, because I think it's you're having to walk the entire length of it. They say it's about 7 seconds on just a regular overworld encounter, but you spawn in the middle of those, so it may be 10 or more seconds that that he saved by doing that.
That's right. Now, VReznor's in this cave you were mentioning earlier when we were talking about the fire spell. This is the cave where some players might use the fire spell to take out these Tektites, each one worth 50 points apiece, but VReznor opted not to use the fire spell. Good walk there from feasel. He does not take any more encounters. He's now in that same Tektite cave. Yeah, he is caught up.
Yeah, and he uses the other strategy, which is to cast Fairy in here, and he's able to do that because he did not cast Fairy on those Wilson fences, which is another popular strategy among runners.
Yep. Now, next up here, we're in the town of New Kasuto. That's where VReznor is, and there's 3 pieces of business on the agenda. First up, he's going to pick up the 8th and final magic container, which again will grant him access to the Thunder spell in the town of Old Kasuto. Secondly, actually, wait, he's already got, no, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry.
They do the magic container last to refill their magic as they leave town.
Yes, that is correct. But the first piece of business, as VReznor just got, remember the magic word, folks. It's not please or thank you. It is spell. The spell has 2 purposes. Number 1, it's going to grant access to this tall building here at the end of this town, where they'll pick up the second item that they need to pick up, and that's the magic key. And the magic key, of course, unlocks all doors in palaces. And the third thing, which I had mentioned first, and it's the first thing in town, but it's the last thing they pick up, is that final magic container.
Correct. Correct. And that magic key is very important because in Palace 6, there are no keys short of the keys you get from bosses. So there will be 2 Rebenak refights and the Barba fight at the end where you can get keys, but there are no other keys to get, and the runners would not be able to pass through any of the doors, as there's one pretty close to the start of the palace.
Yep, that's right. So both are, again, they're at 866. They're about to get ready to do the final palace of the game before Great Palace, and that's going to be known as 3-Eye Rock Palace.
Yes, and it's another palace where magic management is key. Depending on when they choose to cast Jump and Fairy, there are 2 rooms that require Fairy, and with Magic 6, they can cast Jump 3 times and Fairy twice if they don't get any sort of a magic refill. So magic management is important, and if you cast Jump too many times and don't get a red jar, then you have to take a death abuse.
Yeah, and in Feasel's case, if that unfortunate circumstance were to happen, I believe he'd be down to 1 life.
I think you're correct.
Fortunately, VReznor gets cornered.
Yeah, he was trying to slink past the enemies, but the 2 on the side just closed in on him too quickly.
Oh, it takes another encounter. This could give Feasel a chance to gain on him some more.
Yeah, Feasel can slink past the encounters in the forest. That will really help.
And there's the 8th and final heart container pickup there for VReznor. So full 8 units on both the magic and life meters there, and using the flute there to open the entrance to the 6th palace of the game.
So Feasel takes 1 encounter. He gets past the first one, so that's he's gonna catch up by about 7 seconds or so.
Yep, unless he takes an unfortunate counter before the 6th palace, which I have seen a couple of times already. He's gonna be all right though.
Yeah, he got favorable spawns there, so.
Yeah, we've got ourselves quite a race. These players have been close the entire time. Feasel led during about the first half an hour or so of this race, but then some encounter problems coming out of the Maduro swamp had given VReznor a lead, and he's held the lead since.
Yeah, but with Valley of Death and Great Palace still to come, it's anyone's race.
Absolutely, it's totally up for grabs, and I expect this to come down to the wire. And yeah, Valley of Death may prove to be the tail of the tape here, Eon.
Yep, and Feasel making that jump without casting the jump spell.
Wow. Swag jump there. That was well played there. He could have lost a lot of time had he missed that.
Yeah, and VReznor is casting jump twice already, so he's really going to need to get a red jar drop at some point, and he's going across the Canadian hole right there, which is a hole in the floor that is invisible.
Yep, false floors there, and if you leaving out of it, it's not so bad missing that jump. But if you miss the jump on the way, that's a big time loss.
Yeah, I think it's about 50 seconds if you miss the jump on the way in. It's considerably less on the way out.
Good Rebenak fight there for VReznor for the first rematch as he picks up the item in this palace, the cross. The cross is used to see the MOA enemies that were invisible previously in towns of Old Kasuto and the Valley of Death.
Yes, and another nice Rebo fight for Feasel.
Yeah, these guys are neck and neck. They have made very few mistakes, both of them. They have played their
balls in the Canadian hole.
Ooh, so he's going to lose some time there. This could give Feasel a chance to catch up. Does get a red jar, though, from that Iron Knuckle.
Well, that is helpful for VReznor, but I think Feasel's in the lead at this point.
Wow, how quickly this race turned.
And if you're wondering why it's called the Canadian Hole, last year during the All Keys tournament, there were a number of Canadian runners who fell into that hole, and one of them referred to it as the Canadian Hole because of that. So.
And yep, you're right. Feasel has just taken the lead. It's not a very big lead. It's about 7 seconds, but nonetheless, Feasel has taken the lead on VReznor's critical mistake.
Yeah, that's huge, and that's exactly why you don't want to fall down that hole, and you got to know exactly where that false floor is.
So many lead changes. I believe this is now the third lead change of the game. Amazing. Great race between these two. I am looking forward to great battles. If these two keep at it, it is going to come down the wire. I'm excited for this, Ian.
Yeah, me too. And neither player getting the ceiling walk, which saves just about a second, as you don't have to unlock that door if you get it.
Now both are in the same very dangerous room with those unicorn statues and those spiky mews again, and more lava pits. Nice job there from Feasel. No problems at all. Let's see if VReznor is going to make it himself. His was a little bit slower, so Feasel's going to have a little bit of a bigger lead now coming out of that room.
Yeah, so that's those unicorn heads can really troll you if you don't kill them. You think it's going to slow you down to kill them, but in the long run, if you don't kill them and they knock you into the lava, that's going to cost you more time than it would have just to kill them in the first place. So.
Yep, the first required fairy spell here. Both of them make it all right. Now, VReznor's got to be careful not to get hit by these bubbles because they'll zap some of your magic. No problems there.
And Feasel going into the second Rebenak refight. And again, he's opting for the quick dismount as opposed to the corner kill.
Beautiful fight. Beautiful fight.
Very nice.
Let's see if VReznor can do the same thing. Ooh, not quite as lucky as Feasel, so that's going to cost him some more time. He's got to have this. He's got to have this. Oh, he has got very little life left.
Yeah, and so if an unlucky fire hit from Barba, that could really set VReznor back.
Absolutely. Again, VReznor has the lives at his disposal. Feasel does not, so he's got to make sure Feasel does not take a lava bath here. Let's see what kind of approach he's going to take. I got to believe safe now that he knows he's in the lead. Yeah, he's doing the safe. Good one cycle.
So there's a good manipulation in this room. If you don't stop scrolling the screen once you walk in, you can guarantee that Barba will spawn in that far right pit.
Oh, VReznor could not quite get the one cycle, but he does take care of Barba and does not lose one of his lives.
Yeah, so loses a little bit of time because he got the 2 cycle versus Feasel's 1 cycle, but definitely didn't lose as much time as dying would have.
Yeah, absolutely. So he'll still have all his lives intact and is still very much alive in this race. Feasel's going to use the fairy, and he's opting for 886, which is what traditionally a lot of Zelda 2 runners are going to do. So they want to get 886. They want to have that all-important magic 8 for the final boss.
Yeah, and I suspect we'll see the same from VReznor.
Yep, exactly. He's got it.
Yeah, planning to take that magic 8 either in Valley of Death or during Great Palace. So.
Right, and we see that Feasel has picked up the final spell of the game in the town of Old Kasuto. It's the Thunder Spell, and the Thunder Spell is the only way to lay a finger on the Thunderbird.
Correct, and it's important to know that if you cast that spell before Thunderbird's face is on the screen, it will not actually make him vulnerable. So we've seen in the tournament where runners have cast the spell too early and then have had to take a death or even a game over before they can actually get back and fight Thunderbird.
Yep, and I've seen that at least once myself, Ian. So yeah, you got to make sure that you don't use that Thunder Spell too early. His face has to show up before you can cast that spell. Now, they're going to be going for Magic 8, and when we get to the fight, I will explain why that's important.
And VReznor opting to save magic and not cast Fairy, whereas Feasel did cast Fairy. This is going to it's a little bit safer for Feasel, but he's going to have to go in or going to want to go in.
That was close call. Feasel's going to lost some of that time because he took the encounter in the graveyard. The red jar does not despawn, so Feasel's in good shape going into the Valley of Death. VReznor, the pressure's on.
And I don't suspect that we will see VReznor take the red jar because he didn't use up any of his magic.
And he also gets the final Wilson Wall skip, so he too is ready to go for the Valley of Death. Feasel is first. Let's see how it goes.
And you'll see the runners stopping and waiting for an encounter.
Oh, that was a close call there for VReznor. Almost fell into the lava there.
Yeah, that was very close. So you see, like, Feasel just ducked into a fixed encounter spot, which those fixed encounters are very difficult to deal with. It's much
Absolutely.
easier to take
Well,
a
both players having trouble in the Valley of Death. They both had to use a fairy spell. Feasel nearly taking one right there.
yeah, and it's much easier to deal with the overworld spawn encounters than it is those fixed encounters on the map.
Right. Now, the red jar despawn happens when you miss your encounter skip and you don't scroll the screen. I think this is referring to the Wilson Wall screen. Am I right?
Yeah, so what you have to do to despawn it is if you miss your encounter skip and then you run into that Wilson screen and don't scroll the screen at all, just walk back out. If you then take a big encounter to skip the Wilson fence, that's what then causes the despawn. It's the combination of both of those two things.
Yeah, that's right. And right now, ooh, that was a close call again for VReznor. This has been a very, very, very flaky Valley of Death, but he does get through it without losing a life. So we have ourselves a race going into the Great Palace. It's going to be, I'd say, around 30 seconds. So Feasel's into the Great Palace right now.
Yeah, looked like VReznor was trying to conserve magic as much as possible, so he can have that magic
7 seconds difference between the two players coming in. Hold on to your hats, folks. This is going to be exciting.
And Feasel casting Fairy to get over this spicy chicken. That just lets you go through. VReznor doing the same.
Yep, and VReznor is 98 points away from Magic 8, and I gotta imagine he's going to try and save on that as long as he can before he gets that refill.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he has any idea what his time is since he doesn't seem to have a timer running on stream. But I suspect if he can do it, he'd like to not death abuse if he can save that magic level up until right before the Thunderbird fight.
Yeah, that's optimally what VReznor would like to try and do, because right now, I don't know if he knows it because I can't tell by looking at his stream. He is in a dogfight right now with Feasel. One mistake could end their hopes. And again, this is a winner-take-all match right now. They both have the same second place record. The winner advances to the knockout round. The loser's eliminated.
And Feasel in this unicorn head room, VReznor just getting in there too. Those, if you do this room just right, it's not so bad, but they can really troll you if you make a mistake.
Boy, it is neck and neck between these two players getting out of that room. It's going to come down to several factors. We got a very dangerous room coming up for both that people like to affectionately call one of these blue bird knights, or the Fokas as they are properly named.
Yes, yeah. Typically, we as runners, tend to refer to the bird enemies as either bird knights or spicy chickens, depending on which type they are. But just because the real names can be easily misinterpreted as or mispronounced
as something else, right? No, we got you, Ian. Yep. But yeah, that's why it's the O pronunciation. That's why we all call them Fokas, and we don't want to call them as something else. Now here, Feasel is, both of them are in the same room at just about the same time. We've got this Bluebird Knight. Here comes Scott Picula. Oh boy.
And okay. Oh, Feasel missing that double block break.
That's gonna hurt him perhaps, because VReznor does get the block break, but both of them get out at about the same time. They are neck and neck coming out of the Scott Picula room. I cannot believe this, folks. Boy, oh boy, hang on. This is gonna be such a close finish.
They are synced to the tile on my stream.
Yeah, just about on mine as well. This is insane, folks. It could all very well come down to the Thunderbird and Darkling fights for both of these players, with everything on the line. Watch out. Who is going to win this race? It's so exciting.
Oh, and
a death on VReznor.
Spawns by those bird knights, and that death gives Feasel some breathing room.
Yep, that'll give him some seconds there, but it's still close. So that death, though, could be critical in VReznor's chances.
Well, and I suspect we'll see Feasel take a death abuse before the fight. So that's going to give VReznor a little bit of a chance to catch up.
Yeah, that's right. So Feasel will just have one life left. VReznor will still have plenty of lives left. And I would imagine that VReznor is going to, look at his magic, though, for VReznor. He may have to take that same death abuse as well. In fact, oh no, that's right. He saved. He timed it absolutely perfectly. I completely forgot about it. I was so enthralled about how this race was going. I completely forgot he had not leveled up to Magic 8 yet. Now he has. Feasel still is going to have the lead.
Yeah, I was expecting him to wait for the Mew on the Crumble Bridge where Feasel is now, but he did another great strategy to get that level up, and he's going to be coming in with full life and full magic.
About a 9-second difference between these two players going into the Thunderbird fight. Hold on to your hats. Who is going to be the champion? Here is the Thunderbird fight for Feasel and VReznor. Here we go. Now they can use everything.
Both runners casting the full complement of spells.
Yep, all the goodies. That's the shield spell, the jump spell, and the reflex. Oh boy, what a fight that was for Feasel. That was so quick.
Fight.
Oh, and VReznor, a very good fight of his own. It is going to come down to Dark Link, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness gracious, what a race.
Yeah, both had very clean Thunderbird fights. This is going to be really, like you said, coming down to Dark Link.
Hopefully they know the manipulation right now.
And don't get trolled.
Yeah, just a few seconds separating both of these racers. It's going to be a photo finish. Is Dark Link going to be Dark Link, or is he going to cooperate with both? Here we go. It's 2 hits, 3 hits for Feasel, 2 hits for VReznor, 4 for Feasel, 3 for VReznor, 5 for Feasel, 4 for VReznor, 6 for Feasel, 7 for Feasel. Feasel is going to win by just a few seconds. Feasel gets the luckier Dark Link fight. He is going to win the race against VReznor. Unfortunate that Dark Link decided to troll against VReznor. Holy smokes, what a race this has been. And that means Feasel is going to advance it to the knockout round. Boy, what a back and forth seesaw race this was, ladies and gentlemen. Either player could have won it. It all came down to Dark Link. And unfortunately for VReznor, Dark Link decided to beat Dark Link against him, whereas Feasel had a really good Dark Link fight. That is going to do it. My, oh my, what a race.
That was, yeah. I was expecting a close race, and that was even closer than I did.
Yep, we were expecting a close race, and these two fine racers did not disappoint. Man, oh man, what a finish that was.
So I wonder if we'll get either of the runners to come in for a post-race interview.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Simple.
So we'll find out in just a moment if we're going to have an interview between both of these fine competitors. Boy, we just got done with an exciting race. This was a lot of fun. Both of these fine competitors deserve your fouls, and I'm telling you, they raced their hearts out. They gave it their all, and it's a shame that somebody had to lose this race because that was phenomenal.
Yeah, that was... it's hard to think of a closer race we've seen in the tournament. There was one that was maybe a second closer, but...
do you have the official SRL times, Eon?
I do not. I did not pull up the SRL room.
We just got word from Simple Dude, folks. The difference between these two racers was 14 seconds. It all came down to Dark Link. The difference, 14 seconds. Amazing.
Yeah, that's... anytime you're under 15 seconds, under 20 seconds, that's a very close race.
Yep, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, unless we've had some other closer races along the way, I believe this is the third closest race we've had in the tournament. We had a 3-second race. I think we had a 10 or 11-second race a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, 14-second race, unbelievable.
Yeah, that's... can't ask for a better race there.
Yeah, considering what was on the line, you better believe it, Eon.
At this point, I'm guessing maybe we won't get a post-race interview. I don't know.
If that's the case, boy, that would be a shame, because these two players did a fantastic job, and I'd like to just ask a lot of different questions. And I know you would too as well, Eon, but yeah, they both played a great race. And again, I think looking back now at what happened in the race, missing that Canadian jump in Palace 6 ended up costing VReznor the race.
I think you're right. If he does that, and if he maybe takes one more death abuse in Palace 4, I think that he's definitely ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just one of those things. Again, Dark Link could have cooperated better with VReznor, but again, that's just Dark Link being Dark Link. He can troll whenever you want. He can cost you PBs, and in this case, cost you races.
Yeah, and there is a manipulation for Dark Link, but neither racer seemed to do it. I don't know if they've not taken the time to grind it out and learn it, but you can actually manipulate that fight to a certain degree. Okay.
So it looks like we're not going to have an interview between these two outstanding racers. So that is going to do it. Do we have any more races in group play, or was that the last one?
I know the Highlander, GCP, and Zarn 42 race. They tried to do it tonight, and Highlander had a hardware malfunction. His cartridge crashed on him, and so they have agreed to redo the race tomorrow. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a restream for that, or I don't know if anyone signed up for it yet, but expect that race tomorrow.
Yeah, the Highlander Zarnax race, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. We currently do not have an official time on that race right now, so you will want to keep your eyes peeled on the Google Docs information, the 2016 Zelda 2 tournament race times for when that race is going to be. We are getting extremely close to having our field of 12 players set for the knockout round, and if any of these are going to be some of the finest competitors remaining going into this Zelda 2 All Keys 100% tournament. It should be an exciting matchups all the way around. I'm looking forward to who is going to emerge on top. At this point, it's anybody's game.
Yeah, it looks like there's also a race between Jam Evil and Jackamus, but I'm not sure. Jackamus may be planning on forfeiting that race based on something I saw in the Discord. So.
All right, we will see what happens between those two if that race happens at all. Because, again, that race, looking at the standings, that has no implications because both of the racers that have yet to race against each other have already been eliminated from their group.
Correct.
All right, so in that case, this is going to do it for us tonight. So I want to thank everybody here on the Speed Gaming Twitch channel for joining us tonight. And on behalf of our tech person, Simple Dude, and on behalf of my broadcast partner, Enchantress of Numbers, I'm LOZ Cards Fan 23 saying, I hope you have a great rest of your Sunday night, and we'll see you again for some more exciting Zelda 2 All Keys tournament excitement. Till then, LOZ and Eon signing off. So long, everybody.
So long.